What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out Star Traders Frontiers. This is an open-world sandbox crew management RPG that's actually randomized, difficult, and very, very much more in-depth than you expect it to be. From the game's presentation, you kind of figure it'll be like one of those games where there's not a whole lot of, depth there, but actually, this is one of those games that, its looks do not belie how much is going on beneath the surface. I pondered for a while how exactly I was going to do this video, because we covered the game about a year ago, and we did kind of the tutorial section so that everybody could get into the saddle and figure out how the game works. And so I have two things going on right here where I have a long playthrough that I've got. But honestly, if you jump into this game in the middle, it's kind of like jumping into something maybe not Hearts of Iron midway through, but definitely there's a lot of stuff going on with this game. And so I really pondered whether or not I should do a video showing you guys what it's like to be 7 or 8 hours into the game, or whether we should go from the beginning but just do it in sandbox mode. I've opted for the latter rather than the former because it allows me to explain things along the way, just as long as you understand that this episode is going to be kind of highly edited. I'm going to edit a lot so that we can actually make 2 hours worth of progress in 30 minutes. So anyways, if after watching this you want to get the game for yourself, it's down below in the description. This game is updated weekly by the Treese brothers, who are just absolute madmen when it comes to pushing out content. We're going to dive on in. You can also check out my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to hang out live, you know what I mean, and trade socks or something. I don't really know what people do with the live medium. I've never quite figured it out. Let's start a new captain, though. Alright, so at the beginning of the game, you can pick a template for what you want to do with your character. I would recommend not doing that. And I would recommend going in and kind of just doing everything from scratch. This game uses a tabletop-style buy-in system for all the various things you can start out with. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's reminiscent, or whatever that word is. I don't know that word. That's a tough word right there. It's got more than 2 syllables. I can't handle it. In any case, it's very much sort of like Shadowrun, in that you're going to pick various attributes of your captain, and you're going to assign them a priority, and that priority is going to decide how much you get to allocate towards that part of your career. Alright, so I've got it arranged the way that I want it. I want the majority of my stuff to go into my attributes, and the reason for that is pretty simple. You can get new contacts, you can level up and get experience, you can buy a new ship, you can take skills that will give you upgrades to your skill points, but there's nothing you can do inside the confines of the game that's going to allow you to buff up your attributes once you're kind of in the game. And so I usually go with attributes on A because you want to start out really, really strong. We've got 52 to assign here. It's really up to you what you want to do with it. Strength is largely used for boarding combat, and it's largely used for fighting. Quickness is used for guns in boarding combat. Fortitude is your HP. Determines how badly you can be wounded before you die. Charisma is how good you are on missions at talking your way through things. Wisdom is good for exploration. And then morale, and then resilience is really, really good for managing morale and things of that nature. I'm going to go ahead and assign these real fast. I'm pretty happy with this distribution right here. We're going to make a character that is a space explorer. But I don't want him to be bad at, everything except for exploration. I'm making kind of a multi-class character right now, so I've got my stats where I want them to be. We're in really, really good shape for exploration. We're in pretty solid shape when it comes to, crew combat and fighting in person. So I'm happy with that distribution. Oh, I'm over budget, my bad. We will take charisma down by 1. There we go. As far as skills go, this is going to be pretty simple. I'll probably go with, 4 points in rifles, and then I'll probably go with, 4 points in negotiate. We'll go with 10 points in explore. I'm over budget now, so I gotta take this back down. There we go. But we want to be really, really good at exploration. Maybe I'll take 2 off of rifles so that I can go back to negotiate, maybe. That's actually, let's go with tactics. Let's put some in tactics because I think tactics are pretty heavily used while doing missions and also kind of expeditions and whatnot. So that's okay. I would have liked more points to play around with, but it's what we've got. At the beginning of the game, you can pick from a number of different ships of varying sizes and varying costs. The place that you prioritize your ship is going to determine how much money you have for your initial buy-in. In the beginning of the game, I'm kind of a fan of either the Paladin Cruiser, the Fidelis Cutter. I mean, the Guardian Interceptor is a pretty cool ship, except we didn't prioritize ship enough. so we're not going to be able to do that. We could do the Paladin Cruiser. That'll give us 50 cargo right at the beginning of the game, and it'll make us pretty fighty just in case we got to deal with enemies. It also gives us a nice variety of crew, and it also gives us the option to have 5 officers on board, which is good. The other option is the Frontier Liner. The Frontier Liner is very much a cargo ship, and you are going to pick up a lot of cargo from exploration. However, you are going to have to retrofit this guy. The default fitting for the Frontier Liner, I'm not a fan of it. So I've always got to spend a bunch of money to get it going the way I want it to. Maybe we'll go with the Paladin Cruiser this time, just to mix it up. I don't normally go with the Paladin Cruiser, but I'll try it out. That sounds like fun. As far as our contacts go, oops, that was my bad. As far as our contacts go, if we're going to be an explorer, there's a pretty good chance that we're going to want to have our main guy that we have as a contact. Contacts are basically the people that feed you up missions, and they give you connections inside whatever faction it is you're going to be playing. I prefer to go kind of with either a retired explorer or the Gestalt explorer. But I'll probably go with the retired explorer because that's more on the nose what we're trying to do. And then on top of that, I'll probably have a prince as my second contact. Another option if you're looking for a variety of stuff is either the fixer or the smuggler is really, really good for a starting explorer. But I'm trying to mix it up right now and do something different. I am going to save this template. We'll just call it YouTube. There we go. All right. And so we'll take this guy right here, we'll launch it, and then we get to do some brief customization. Okay, so I've got myself customized here. One thing that's really important is you should leave these unchecked right here if you're a new player. It'll let you do a tutorial, and it'll assign all your skill points for you. And it does that in a semi-reasonable way that'll get you up and playing the game faster. I'm going to manually assign everything because we're going to talk through the skill system as we get going. But you can also change your faction over here. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. This game is basically Dune-inspired, so you should understand that all of these factions are equally terrible, and they are all backstabbing each other. The setting of the world of this game is such that everything is ruled by noble houses, and it's kind of like neo-feudalism in space. They basically spend all of their time. So there was a massive war between the clans. It basically wiped out everything, and so they do everything in their power to avoid open war that they possibly can. But what that means is this entire galaxy functions on kind of like skullduggery and like backhandedness and kind of spying and basically sort of assassinations. They basically take care of all of their warlike business behind the curtain rather than in front of it because they're so terrified of there being another open war. So anyways, I'm just going to leave it on... We'll go with the Kadar Syndicate. That sounds good. That sounds all right. And then I think we're ready to play the game. Let's go ahead and launch. All right, so here we are at Kadar Prime in the Kadar Syndicate. If we take a look at our star chart, we can see roughly where we are, kind of like in the universe. I do believe that on a certain level, some of this is randomized. And so you are going to have to, like, this galaxy does not look like the one that I've been playing for the last 6 to 10 hours. So I'm guessing it randomizes on some specific level, although that's a mechanic that I haven't really looked into. At the beginning of the game, before you even move your ship, you need to kind of have a fundamental understanding of how the game works. And so we have our Paladin Cruiser over here, right? And it takes a number of attributes to run this cruiser. And so, like, we have piloting checks, we have ship ops, we have gunnery, we have electronics, and we have navigation. Ideally, you want this entire meter to be kind of like yellow, because you get bonuses for actually having more skills than you need to pilot the ship up to 200%. After 200%, you don't get anything. But really, you kind of want to look into getting these numbers up, and as your crew levels up, you are going to increase these meters. Right now, we have 24 crew, and we have 4 officers. Let's go ahead and take a look at our crew menu. As you can see, everyone has level ups. You actually manage every single one of your crew in this game. Every single one of your crew has a class. Every single one of your crew has like a skill sheet and has kind of like a tabletop D&D style set of dice that they contribute to the overall endeavors of your crew. And unless you understand that, this is going to seem really, really granular and annoying. But I promise it's mostly fire and forget. Like, once you set it up, you do have to level people up individually if you want to have a highly effective crew, but you can always click the auto train if you want, and it'll just throw skill points into things that are like universally useful, and you'll still be able to make a somewhat decent team off that. So I'm going to go down and we'll do the customization of Splattercat himself, and then everybody else I'll do on my own, and we'll just make an edit. So when you go on in here, everybody has like classes, And so everybody has jobs, and these jobs are going to give you additional dice to any dice roll task that requires this. So like piloting is used when you are doing combat. So dice rolls are used. Why am I a pirate right now? So what you'll see is my character has started out as a pirate. I actually did not intend for that to happen. I was just kind of moving fast with the video. That's fine. We can make that work inside the confines of our build. It's not like optimal, but it does actually make the playthrough more interesting. I need to level up Explorer, though. We need to get better at exploring. But anyways, we've started out as a level 1 pirate because apparently I did a bad job doing my due diligence while I was playing. We've got skills here. And so what I would recommend in the beginning of the game is that you should really prioritize skills that automatically pass failed tests. Because you'll see in just a minute, once we actually embark and we take off into the galaxy, your ship is constantly making dice rolls to figure out if various systems are failing. And so we're going to go with Icy Stare as our first goal. Because that's going to make it so that anytime there's a morale issue or a crew issue, and we need to intimidate our crew and basically make them fearful of our command, we will automatically pass that once every 3 weeks. And usually, actually, I prefer to take skills like these and have like 2 to 3 of them throughout my entire crew so that we aren't failing skill checks all the time, because that can add up and get very, very expensive. Okay, so I've got everybody's skills assigned. It took me about 5 minutes. When it comes to being a new player in this game, things that you want to look for when you're upgrading. So with any of your staff that focus on combat, you want them to focus on initiative, because initiative is actually different in this game than other games. Initiative is basically like your AP in this game. And so you want them to have as many AP as possible because that maximizes the amount of times they can act in a turn. When it comes to your pilots, you want to focus on read charts. That's a very, very important ability that allows you to automatically pass a failed pilot test. I usually try to get at least 3 of those. Another good choice is sharp steering so that you can escape from combat whenever you want. Another one that you can get is, do they have, was it this guy? Let's see here. Another skill you can focus on with your navigators is going to be read charts, which lets you pass navigation tests. And then on top of that, fast getaway allows you to escape from pretty much whoever you want, unless they just vastly, vastly outmaneuver you. But yeah, focus on things that automatically pass tests until you have like 3 to 2 of those for each type of test. That way you've got a well-rounded crew that can actually fly your ship without things constantly falling off of it and like rattling all over the place. For right now, there's a storyline quest we can take. I'm not particularly interested in taking the storyline quest, so I'm not gonna. We're going to actually land on Kadar Prime, and we're going to get our first job over here. So Piper DeCall, your contacts inside of every town, the UI interface that you're looking at, you've got your credits, you've got your cargo, you've got your character HP, and you've got the hull of your ship, and then you've got a number of different things that you can do kind of like inside. You can refuel, which is obviously very, very important. Your fuel gauge is down here. Try not to run out of fuel. You can heal your crew. You can recruit people. You can repair your ship. You can give people drugs so that their morale goes up, or you can pay your crew wages. It's important to note that your crew only levels up when you pay their wages, and so they're not going to advance or like bank their XP until you pay their wages. We need to talk to our contact, though. Contacts in this game are the #1 way that you interact with intergalactic politics. So every single faction has agents, and those agents are your contacts. They can offer you everything from espionage missions to salvage missions. They can give you trade permits that allow you to trade in objects that are illicit or otherwise illegal, so you get like a pass or basically like a permit to trade those things. They allow you to access the black market. You can sell them intel about other factions, and all of this stuff actually matters. Like when you complete a mission for a contact, their influence inside of the faction goes up because they've accomplished one of their sub-goals. On top of that, the more influential they are, the more important of missions they'll get. If you sell them intel, that actually makes them more informed. If you use them to access the black market, but you get caught after they vouch for you, their influence goes down, so on and so forth. And these guys are actually embroiled in conflicts as well with other contacts and with other factions, and how they perform in those conflicts that they personally have going on determines whether they become more important people inside of the faction or whether they eventually die off and are assassinated and eliminated. Like, this is a very cloak and dagger game, and there's a lot of threads moving beneath the surface that are not immediately apparent if you haven't played the game for like 10 or 20 hours. That's really what makes Star Traders Frontiers so difficult to kind of like put your finger on, is because you're not going to know if this game is for you until you're like 15 hours in and you get into the real nitty-gritty of how everything functions. We're going to take a mission right here. We just recently got our captain's charter, so we're not very trustworthy. So what they want me to do is they want me to take a consul to somewhere inside this system. I am going to take that mission because no problem. And we're going to go ahead and mark that on our nav coordinates through this menu down here. And so we just need to carry them over to this spot and drop off this diplomat. And once we've done that, it will prove that we know what we're doing. So if I pause the game right now, you can actually take a look. This menu right here is doing the D&D style rolls. So since we left port in Kadar Prime, let's see here. We have done engine maintenance, and we passed that check. It looks like we sufficiently changed our work shift, which we passed that check. We avoided a fight during a gambling dispute. And then we had another work shift change, and then our doctor treated a crewman who was injured in an explosion. So, like, we're passing checks right now, and in fact, this all adds to your XP and whatnot. We'll go ahead and land here, and if you want to complete the quest, you just click on the little prompt that's in the bottom left, and we will deliver the console to the security checkpoint. There you go. So, perfect. Everybody reacts promptly and call in reinforcements as we arrive. There was a terse meeting, and our business is concluded. So we got paid 6,000 credits right there, and then we got some rep with the Kadar Syndicate. And it looks like we also gained rep with our contact, who got influence from actually undertaking this task. So it's possible that somebody above her in the overall kind of hierarchy of the Kadar Syndicate was like, hey, you're responsible for this consul's life. If we had messed up that quest and gotten, attacked by pirates or whatever on the way over there, she would have suffered for it, as well as we would have suffered for it, because you know how it goes in life. Shit rolls downhill. So there's two places on this planet. There's actually an indie station over here as well, an indie mining station. The independents are kind of like a neutral faction. They're basically victims. You can do whatever you want to them, and there's no consequences. But anyways, we need to get back to our broker. So they want me to prove my charter. I'm going to take both of these. We have a commodity delivery. They want me to get 45 units of carbonite crystals, which can be found in mining and refinery zones. And they want me to take that back to Kadar Prime. I'll accept it. Do we have any mining stations? We do. We have a mining station, like, right across the street. So it's possible that they were just too lazy to do anything about this. Their carbonite crystals are kind of expensive. The trade interface in this game, this light here basically denotes how good of a deal it is. So Sarkspar ore is very, very cheap here, and we can actually almost triple our profits. But over on this side, carbonite's at like a B-. But in the interest of knocking out this quest quickly... Oh, actually, we don't have enough. How many did I need? I needed 45 units. Okay. Well, we can land over here, and we can drop these off in part. So there you go. We'll unload the 24 units right there. We'll refuel. We'll pay the crew who has actually leveled up. So we've got a couple of level ups to do. I'm going to train jobs, and since I didn't take... Let's see here. What I would have preferred to have had was Explorer, Exoscout, and Xeno Hunter as my jobs. But honestly, Pirate works too. That just makes us better at space combat rather than being better at land combat. So, like, I'm fine with it. My captain's probably not going to be fighting anyways. Let's go ahead and take a level in Explorer right there, and that's actually what we're going to focus on. Luckily, I caught that early, so it's not that big of a deal. This guy is my quartermaster, and in fact, I think we got a really good quartermaster. He got a couple of extra dice towards those checks right there. This game uses a D10 system. It's like kind of an esoteric system. But basically, you get a dice, a 10-sided die for every one of these pluses right here. And whenever a challenge comes up, there's a threshold that you have to hit, like a target. And you roll those D10s, and depending on whether they're strong D10s or standard D10s, you get different results. Like, basically, you get a success on a standard D10 if you roll a 9 or a 10. And you get a success on a strong D10 if it's like a 7 or higher. But anyways, you have to roll a certain number of successes like Shadowrun style in order to successfully complete the task. That's the quick and dirty way of explaining how it works. There's a mining station over here. We can probably pick up the carbonite over here, so we'll go do that. We turned in 24 already, which means that we need, was it 45? So I think we need another 21. I'll check the specific numbers in just a minute. We're making our skill checks. Things are going good. We failed a ship ops test, unfortunately. That sucks because I have 3 auto passes, which means that we already went through all 3 of our auto passes. So let's go ahead and land real fast. We're going to have to repair the ship a little bit. It is going to eat into our profits, but that's life. We've got carbonite crystals over here for a decent price. How many did I turn in? 24? Okay, so I was right about my math. We need to buy 21 more. There we go. We bought 21 more. And I think we're going back to a... Hold on, let me go back out here. We might be able to do a trade run right here to earn some extra money. So we're going back to Kadar Prime, which is a high-tech industrial. If we pick up some stuff over here that sells at high-tech industrial, we may be able to make a little bit of extra money. So Sark Spar goes to refineries. Ursulite goes to high-tech zones. Yeah, we can pick up some Ursulite while we're here. Make a little bit of extra money on the side. And then we'll go back to Kadar Prime. And you should always be, like, trading or hustling or, like, doing something on the side in this game just to earn a little bit of extra scratch on your way through. In addition, when you've got these Prove Your Charter quests, you should take as many of them as possible and keep them in reserve because these early quests are gimmies and they largely don't tank your reputation with the other factions, which becomes like a big problem once you're actually doing, like, official missions. There's our 14K right there that we earned. So that's good. And then we're going to pick up this other mission that we had waiting in the wings. We'll go ahead and queue up another one, too. We've got a promised transport. They want 44 units of hydrocarbon fuel. That shouldn't be hard to do. I think that'll be fine. Yeah, we'll take that. So they want 44 units of hydrocarbon fuel. I think we should be able to get most of that just by flying to the other side of the planet. We've already used up most of our profits just kind of repairing up the ship. Don't worry, the jobs are going to get more lucrative. Our doctor has leveled up, which is great. So we'll go ahead and level him up. And then it looks like our quartermaster has leveled up yet again. Yeah, our quartermaster's getting mad levels over here. He's also got another talent. So what I would get him is I would get him contract bargain. This is really, really good because if somebody is thinking about deserting, it automatically cancels that in exchange for paying them a little bit more per day. And I really like that ability because it stops crew bleed, which can be a big problem in the early game before you level up all your command structure. All right, do I need... My barracks is full. We've already got our job. We need the hydrocarbon fuel. Luckily, we've got a mining station right over here. So I may be able to get the hydrocarbon... Is it crude that they wanted for this? They want refined hydrocarbon. Okay, so they've got the crude over here, but they want the actual refined. So we're going to need to go to a refinery. Luckily, there's a refinery, like, right over here that's owned by the Zenrin. Hopefully, they don't have any trade embargoes or anything. If they do, it's going to hurt our rep to buy over here, but it's the closest stop. So I'm going to try to grab it on this side. Oh, I should have unloaded my cargo of Ursulite. Ah, we've got a contact, but he's from our faction, so it's not that big of a deal. So we've got a Kadar Syndicate Explorer over here. Since he's from our faction, I'm just going to leave. You get XP for everything in this game. That's one thing that I really like about this game, is even little things like interacting with a ship and retreating gives you XP. And so anyways, let's go ahead and land at the refinery. I unloaded all my cargoes, so we should be fine. We're spending a lot of money just on upkeep, though, so we're going to need to get some better missions pretty soon, just to get some money flowing. We could also do some early game exploration, I guess, and maybe see if we can pick up a few goodies that way. That might actually be a good idea. Maybe that's what I'll try to do. We need to buy hydrocarbon fuel, which is actually not at a great price here. How many did I need? I needed 44, and I can only get 43 here. All right. Well, there's another refinery over here. Let me see if I can pick it all up over here, or maybe if it's at a better price over here. We'll give that a run. This game does take place in eras, and the things that you do during the course of your playthrough will affect... Oh, we've got a pirate attack. Okay, an independent pirate is trying to fight us. Well, let's go into combat then. I mean, I don't really know if I can take this guy, but we're going to try. So I've got bombardment, so I'm going to go ahead and queue that up. Ship combat functions very, very simply. You have your range, which is how close you are to each other. Your weapons have a Darkest Dungeon style range as well. You can only use certain attacks from certain ranges. We're not really equipped for combat right now, so hopefully he closes the gap up to 4. But we got reactor points, and we've got enough to fire like everything at these guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Hellfire torpedoes are away. We did a good job. However, we did take counterfire right there, which kind of sucks. The enemy is closed range, which was actually exactly what I was hoping they would do, because that puts us in a better condition to fight. We're going to go ahead and queue up pretty much everything we have. We already ran our buff against this guy, and so we pretty much just need to bombard this dude. Oh, he's got a Hydra missile array as well. Funsies. All right, well, as long as we land our hits, we should be okay. He's trying to close the gap with us right now. We're absolutely not going to allow that to happen. We're going to keep firing our plasma throwers and our plasma lance at him, and we're going to keep firing Hydra missiles at him. And really, we just got to kind of hope that he doesn't hit any of our weapons with his fire. So each of your components can actively take damage, and that's usually what times you out of a fight, is that they score like a lucky hit on one of your weapons arrays, and then you're just like, well, damn, I guess I just won't fight anymore. We've got some good damage going. As long as we can avoid taking hits to our actual weapons themselves, I think we're in good shape here. And because he's an independent, there's no downside to us just like murdering him. And so I'm hoping we can sell his ship for salvage and get some pretty good money out of it to kind of help us in the early game. Continue firing. He should go down pretty soon. His HP is getting pretty low, and so we should be looking at hull collapse territory really shortly. Okay, he hit my Ares missile system. That's not good. I need that in order to kill you properly. He's trying to run away now. He sees the writing on the wall. That's good. When he's running away, it means he's using his reactor to get farther range from us, and he's not using... Hey, we collapsed him. There we go. So we've annihilated the enemy. This is one thing I like about taking the Paladin, is that, like, when you take the liner is not good at fighting. But the Paladin is decent at fighting. Like, it can throw down, and then once you give it some upgrades, it can actually kind of punch above its weight. We'll go ahead and salvage this guy. And it looks like we got reputation, so that's good. We got $11,000 in salvage, so that's great. That's actually like the come up that we needed. This mission has been kind of expensive for us due to all the things that have been going wrong. And so, like, the early game, your crew barely know how to fly the ship. And so, unfortunately, we're going to spend it all on repairs, man. Feels bad. I think they will actively work on repairing the system while you're flying around, but what can I repair right now to kind of help? It's mostly hull damage. Hull damage, our barracks. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and I guess I'll take the money from the salvage to repair the ship, maybe. I don't know. I'd like to get everybody's morale back up, too. Until you hit, like, level 6 or 7, they basically can't fly the ship very well. And so we're waiting to get to that point. This is the downside, like, when you play like I do, where you start everybody at level 1. When you start everybody at level 1... When you start everybody at level 1, they don't know what they're doing. They're basically a super green crew that can barely fly this thing. And so we're going to be spending a lot of money on kind of like repairs and things of that nature in the early game. But I promise, once we get up to like level 6 or 7, it's not going to be a problem anymore. Like on my 10-hour playthrough, I never fail checks in space anymore. It almost never happens. And so you don't have to worry about it quite so much. Now, let's go ahead and buy cargo over here. We are looking for hydrocarbon fuel. We can get 30 units here, so I'm going to buy those. And then we're going to have to go back to Tehran to grab the rest of it. I was hoping I could get them all right here, but oh well. Way she goes, Rick. We failed a ship ops test again. Feels bad. Alright, so let's buy the rest of our hydrocarbon fuel over here, even though the prices are not ideal. I mean, it's a B. That's better than nothing. We need 14 of these. Okay, so there we go. And then we're back to Kadar Prime to get ourselves situated with our contact. Hopefully, we start making some repair checks and fixing things on the ship. Alright, so after landing over here, it actually looks like that's not happening. So I guess I'll just go ahead and use the money from the salvage to repair. Let's deliver these. We've unloaded it all, and we earned 19K for our efforts. We came out about 8K positive, all things said and done, so that's good. And then we've got one final mission over here. Oh, never mind, they wiped it out. So now, we've actually proved our charter. What that means is that we have proved that we are a trustworthy captain inside of the confines of this faction. So now they're giving us real missions, and we can actually get involved in the intergalactic conflict. So as of right now, it looks like the Kadar Syndicate and Steel Song are waging a trade ban against one another. And it looks like over here, we can assist with an ally of our contact, or we can use a mission to learn one of our contact's traits, because our contact actually has a skill sheet and a character sheet as well. So like right here, we know that our contact is greedy, and so, you know, that has an effect on things. We know that our contact has the traitor tag. That means that our contact is not particularly enamored with the Kadar Syndicate. She's a part of it, but like, she'll take it or leave it. She's a technologist, which means that she wants to buy scientific intel and pays more for it and allows you to recruit scientists. And if we take that trait mission right there, we can reveal her final trait. And then over here, we can find her connections to kind of like the rest of the galaxy and the rest of the contacts. All of whom are actively trying to kill her, by the way. Like, it's very, very easy. Like, I had a contact in my last playthrough that was at, like, maxed out influence, but he messed up a trade war that he was supposed to be enacting on the part of the king himself, which lowered his influence to negative values, and then he got assassinated. And he was, like, the main mission guy that basically, like, fed me up all my missions. It was a debacle. Alright, so right here, we must procure 17 units of explosives, which are supplied by industrial areas. Okay. We must find them at a low price, then we must travel to the coordinates of a secret stockpile and stash the cargo. Okay, so we're going to need a free trader permit for that. I can go up to free trader level 2, which will allow me to buy goods that are normally outlawed. For right now, let's sit on this task and see if maybe we can make our money elsewhere. Got a few more level ups to apply, most important of which is our main character. We'll level him up. He's got a talent over here. I kind of want him to have exploration talents. So we're going to be doing exploration as much as possible. We can go with, while exploring a wild zone, reroll any risk card. That's really, really good. There's a little card game you play in this game to determine whether or not you do a good job while exploring and stuff. I'm not like a huge fan of it, but like, you know, it's mostly, you can mostly mitigate it. When you can mostly mitigate it once you're leveled up and you've got cards that allow you to reroll bad cards and stuff like that. We're going to go with port maintenance on him because that'll allow us to repair some of our stuff for free and limit the amount of money that we're spending just repairing objects on our ship. And it looks like there's actually a wilderness over here, so we'll go check that out and see if we can make some money. Alright, so we're going to land in the wilderness and we're going to explore. Now, when you land in the wilderness, this is just straight RNG. It gives you a bunch of cards, and it rolls a dice to see which card you get. And so we'll see what we get here. We got damage to our crew, unfortunately. This time around, we'll give it another run. And it looks like we refueled our water tanks, which is actually pretty helpful. This one's got a lot of combats on it, and I'd rather not do any combats. Like, this is a pretty rough spread, and we don't have the abilities down here to, like, delete these cards and get rid of them. So I'm going to cease exploring on this side because it's not necessary. Unfortunately, not a very profitable exploration trip, but, you know, kind of is what it is. We do have another contact inside the system. We could go see what she's got going on and see if she's got any missions that are, like, slightly better for us. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll kind of just, like, putt-putt our way across the galaxy, or across the system, and see if maybe she's got something a little bit better for us. We kind of want to... Oh, we got a Kadar merchant. Okay. We will acknowledge. We can do that. Acknowledge is a special thing you can do when you meet a ship of your faction once your rep is high enough. and it basically just means that you can bypass the event altogether. Okay, so let's go talk to our contact and see what she's got going on. Maybe she's got something nice for us. Looks like she's working on the trade ban just like our other contact. We can actually ferret out one of her traits. So let's see here. We have to get a confidential smuggler's case off of a Steel Song world of Steel Song Prime. It's in a stash, so we got to find it, and then we got to bring it back. We kind of got to decide who we want to go to war against. So really, you can keep your rep positive with every faction, but once you start doing these really good missions over here, there's a pretty solid chance that you're going to crater your reputation with whoever your faction is at war with pretty fast, and it can kind of death spiral a little bit. And so what I like to do is I like to pick like 2 factions that I don't care if I lose rep with them and I'm fine being an outlaw in their territory. And then all of the rest of them I try to keep positive or like neutral to positive because it just makes moving throughout the galaxy easier. Like when you've got a negative reputation, they send bounty hunters after you. They're constantly trying to arrest you even when you're not in their territory. Like they will send people after you in your territory. It becomes like an annoyance that I'd rather not deal with from like 8 different factions at once. And so like I'm okay dealing with it from 1 faction, but dealing with it from like more than 2 just gets obnoxious after a while. It feels like you can't walk more than 5 feet without somebody harassing you. So we do have a prisoner exchange. Prisoner exchange is pretty easy. Oh, I've got to have a prisoner cell. I could swap my... I guess I have a passenger cell for some reason. Okay. Let me go to the shipyard real fast. I think I can swap this out for pretty cheap. This menu right here needs to be completely redone. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but like the ship outfitting, this menu is just a mess as far as like design goes. I feel like a flip menu would be far more effective for looking for what you want, but we'll talk about that near the end of the video. I'm cutting this one kind of long anyways because there's a lot to bite down on with this game, and I'm kind of like getting after it as we get there. Prison cell's pretty expensive, but I feel like we'll get better mileage out of the prison cell than we will out of the passenger cell given who our contacts are. So we'll go ahead and do the prisoner exchange. To qualify for this mission, you must have Kadar Hunter Edict 1. Can I get that? I cannot get that. Okay, well that would have been nice to know before I upgraded my ship to take this. Yeah, there it is right there. Okay, fine. We'll go ahead and do this one over here where we go find the thing because I'm low on money and we need to go find the thing. However, this would be a really good time to save my game because we're kind of low on finances right now. So depending on how this goes, bad things might happen. All right, let's go ahead and navigate to our quest. This big paycheck will help out a little bit. Hopefully we don't have too many failures on the way. We've run into an Alta Mesa Zealot over here. I'm just going to retreat. We'll lose reputation with Alta Mesa for whatever reason. This game, you lose rep for everything, all right? Everything loses you rep in this game. Like, you're in your own territory, and somebody from another faction sees you, and for some reason, you lose rep for that. It's never quite explained. It's one of those weird things that, like, it's a part of the game. When you first start playing, it's going to annoy you, and then you just accept it once you get further on into the game, and you're like, whatever. So that's basically how I look at it. Let's go see if we can actually find this data thing that they want me to find over here and then bring it back to our territory. We have an independent merchant over here. Is his ship better than mine? His ship is better than mine. All right, we'll leave him alone then. You can get in that middle menu right there, you can get kind of like a manifest that tells you like how good their ship is. All right, so over here, it's hidden in a stash. Just try it outside of the... We need to retrieve it and sneak it back to the ship. Okay, so it's this one right here. We'll go ahead and bribe somebody to sneak the case out to us. We have an option to make a dice roll over here, but since we're not good at stealth, it's just easier to do the bribe because it's a guaranteed success. We are going to lose a lot of rep for it, though. If we had snuck it out, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but is what it is at this juncture. All right, so we've got the thing that we needed to get. Now we just need to head back to our territory in Garrick Pillars and drop it off, and then we'll be good to go. But I do like how the missions give you multiple ways to accomplish them. Like, you can sneak your way through it, you can go in blasting, you know, and all of them have various rewards, and all of them have various downsides. Let's see here. This guy wants to fight us. He's way more awesome than we are, but we should be able to outrun him. So this is why I take these talents right here. We're going to go ahead and take Fast Getaway, and we're just going to escape. That's pretty much it. He's going to land a couple hits on us first, but he's just using Hellstorm torpedoes, so that's not that bad. We made our escape roll, so we escaped from him. We have no chance in hell of beating this ship in a straight fight. So it's a good idea to run. A big part of this game is just understanding the meta and knowing what you can handle and what you can't handle while you're cruising around the galaxy. And that guy right there is basically in a better version of our ship. So, like, in all ways, the only thing we do better than him is outrun him. We'll drop the smuggler's case off at the spice table, and we will get our money. So we got paid 30 grand for that. So for the first time ever, we actually have a decent amount of cash. We've got some level ups to take care of. Our doctor has leveled up, so we'll give him some extra doctoring dice. We got a engineer who's good to go, so we'll give him some more engineering dice. And then our quartermaster's good to go too. So there's another intimidate dice that we've added to our pool. Good. All right, so let's dip on out here, and we will find something else to do. I don't know if that gave me enough edict. Hold on, I gotta get back to my contact. My contact was on this planet, right? I want to work for the princess, because the princess is going to allow me to advance in ranks better than my explorer contact will. We've got a bounty hunter out here. Luckily, the bounty hunter is from our faction, so we can just ignore it altogether. Keep on cruising up to the Kadar Syndicate. Alright, no major malfunctions while flying around. That's what I like to see. Can I get a higher level edict here? So I need effective rep 30, so we got to do some more jobs for her. For 1,000 credits, I can move up to edict 1, though, so that'll actually give us some more mission options. There we go. So we've got our prisoner, and we're arranging for transport. Apparently, we have a problem now with Alta Mesa. This is really kind of the thing, is I feel like the conflicts, they shift very, very quickly. Like, I'm okay with Steel Song not being a huge fan of me. Like, I don't mind that. But tanking my reputation with multiple factions simultaneously is something I'd rather actually kind of avoid. We'll go ahead and cruise down this way. We're going back into Steel Song territory, though. And we're like a minor criminal in Steel Song territory. So, like, we're going to want to sort of watch our backs here. Like, we're kind of a petty crook now from our reputation. So, they're not going to actively hunt us. But, like, if one of their law enforcement officers randomly stumbles into us, he's not going to not arrest us. You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely still going to try to apply the law to our faces directly. For the prisoner exchange, we can deliver him directly to the prisoner transport, to a local security transport, and we have the points for that, so we have really good dice for that check. We can delay in the star point, but that'll be an insult to our hosts. We can also officially deliver the prisoner to the palace, but apparently inside this universe's culture, that's a huge insult, and so we're going to go with this guy right here. We successfully made the roll, so that's really, really good. You can see right here that we made a skill save, so we have 19 strong dice, which means that we have 19 dice that are D10s that succeed on 7 or higher, and then we have 13 standard dice which succeed on 9 and 10, and so the opponent has opposition right there to stop us. He basically had no chance to stop us from completing the mission. We got 30k for that. However, Steel Song, not a big fan of us. Steel Song, we have cratered our reputation with this faction. It's not good. We are actually, like, officially a criminal right now in this area. Sometimes it doesn't sync up. I do think the developers should take another pass and take a look at the missions. Like, for example, we just did a prisoner exchange as a part of an ongoing hostility. I don't think you should lose rep for that, because we did the optimal solution, which meant that we went through and, in accordance with tradition, we handed the prisoner off, we exchanged the prisoner, there was no betrayal, there was no underhandedness, there was no backbiting, and we did it through the proper traditions and culture of the setting, which means that I don't understand why we lose so much rep. Like, since we did the hard option that requires a major dice check, I feel like we should actually gain rep with everybody involved because we conducted ourselves amicably. Like, we were culturally understanding. We did everything by the book according to the cultural precepts of the time. We made our check. We didn't betray anybody. We acted as an agent of one faction in an interaction with another faction in an honorable way. Therefore, I think we should at least not lose reputation with anybody. And honestly, to my eye, we should gain reputation with everybody involved because we were a successful agent that did everything by the book. But that's one of my minor gripes with the game. That's one of like my little minor gripes in there. Let's go ahead. And I think we're going to, this wasn't nearly as edited as I said it was going to be. We ended up basically just playing the game for like an hour. Nonetheless, our prisoner transport went okay, so I can live with it. If there's an exploration zone around here, I would like to do a little bit of exploration. There's a wilderness all the way down there, but it's kind of far. Luckily, this is not Steel Song territory either. So actually, we're not being hunted by Steel Song really in this area. If you want to fix your reputation, as with all things in this game, you got to play a card game. You can patrol their planet, and if you get a good card for that, you'll get Steel Song rep. However, we have a 20% chance of getting good rep and like an 80% chance of something bad happening. So like for right now, I'd probably avoid it. Let's go ahead and get a little bit better at exploration. And then our quartermaster is just leveling up like crazy. Good for you, man. Get on in there. Quartermaster's just stacking level ups. I'll probably head back to our explorer contact and see what she's got going on. We've got a zealot right now from Maclumnu. If you want to get away from a conflict, like meeting with another ship without like taking a rep penalty, what you need to do is you need to bribe them until you've got all of these numbers right here, 0 or higher, and then you can retreat and you won't lose any rep. That's a little tip for new players that are wondering why they're bleeding rep so hard. All right, let's jump on through, and I'm going to head back to my contact. We had an accident with our power loader. No matter how much I tell the crew to stop having forklift fights and forklift jousts right next to the fuel feed mechanism, they keep doing it. You can't get through to some people, man. You can't get through to some people. And there's also no option for me to be like, this is coming out of your pay. We can get a trade permit. I would recommend we do that with the money that we've got right now. And so I'm going to get a level 2 trade permit, even though it cost me a lot of my profits. That means we're going to be able to buy and sell objects right here that are legal with a permit. It's going to allow you to make a little bit more money. So like with electrical components, we can take those somewhere else. This is basically going to allow us to earn extra money on the side. But this trade permit is only good for Kadar systems. So this trade permit isn't going to hold up in other people's systems. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yeah, I'll buy 50 units of club. Well, let me see what missions she's got first before I fill up my hold. You got any good missions? So we've got something against Alta Mesa right now. This mission goes up against Maclumnu. Hates Devaltos. That's kind of problematic because I'd rather not tank my reputation with any of these people. Alta Mesa, we're already like a little bit negative with. So she's convinced there are lost signs and secrets scattered on a desolate wilderness of the quadrant. That's a long mission. That's a really long mission. That's like a beefcake of a mission. What's this one? We've got a lockbox that's buried on Maclumnu Prime, so we got to go find it and then bring it back for 37k. Okay. This one's really going to hurt our reputation with this faction. Maybe we'll just do a couple little trade runs real fast. This has a really good top end, and we can take it to a Lux Pop zone. So I'm going to go ahead and purchase that here. And there's probably a Lux Pop around here. Yeah, there's a Lux Pop right there. We'll swing it on over. We got a bounty hunter up on us. Acknowledged. So friendly acknowledgement. Oh, we lost reputation. Apparently, we are engaged in a duel of assassins right now. With Clan Maclumnu. A duel of assassins is basically a war, but it's a war where you're using hitmen and, like, secret assassins to kill one another rather than open all-out war. If you're wondering what a duel of assassins is. Keep on God, how many more contacts can I get? There it is. The duel of assassins has ended, so we're no longer actively annihilating each other. That's a B- profit right there. Not that great, but we'll make 9,000 off of it. Steel Song won't like us because they've got a trade embargo on our faction, but, like, I don't really care about that. So I'll just lose the rep. Like, I don't, we're already, like, criminals with Steel Song, so, like, it's not like it's gonna get worse. We're already wanted. Worst case scenarios, we allow them to arrest us, which resets our rep down to 0 after some time passes. It's not that big of a deal. We did make good money off that, though. We made, like, an extra 10K just flying across this area. They've got biomass over here. We got any other good production zones? Let's see if there's something I can move around here. So we've got a mining spot right there. Let's go see what they've got at the mining spot. We can't really do a lot of... Oh, hey, what's up, man? -2, -4. Ouch. This bribe is going to sting. That bribe definitely took it out of us. That's like a fifth of our profits gone from that last trade run. Such is life, I suppose. What do you guys have here? You've got Sark Spur, which is actually pretty cheap, but not very margin-friendly. Hydrocarbon fuel can go to refineries and industrial zones. We've got... I think the crystals are probably a good call. What level permit do I need for this? Oh, you need a Spice Trader's permit. Yeah, I don't have a Spice Trader's permit. Let's go with the Hydrocarbon Crude. And we'll take that to, like, an industrial zone. And to get around the trade ban, we're going to take it to a refinery that's not owned by our faction. We have a spy over here. They are suspicious of us. Will this money make you less suspicious? Haha. But as you can see, pretty much everything in the game bleeds your reputation. Okay, so now that we're in the home stretch of the video, we've let this one go on for a while because there's so much to get to with this game. But I've been trying to do these collected thoughts kind of at the end of videos more frequently because it seems like people are fans when I go kind of in-depth with a game and I actually have, like, you know, an actual docket of stuff to talk about that aren't first impressions. I put about 15 hours into this one, so we might as well put it to good use. So I guess, like, on the docket of things to talk about with Star Traders Frontiers, I really, really like how deceitfully in-depth this game is. This is actually a 4X game that the AI is playing while you're just a lonely pilot on the map. The factions are actively, at any given moment, killing each other's agents, assassinating one another, generally being underhanded nuisances, which really does hugely change your playstyle and focuses you and forces you to kind of work around the embargoes and the conflicts and the issues that arise. I'm also a big fan of how the player's actions affect the game unfolding with regards to the era system. So the game unfolds over a number of eras where things happen based on the decisions that you've made and who you've decided to side with, which is a really, really cool feature. Like, the things you do in prior eras really change things on a macro scale, which I think is a breath of fresh air. Your ships are really, really customizable. I like that a lot. Your crew and your officers basically allow you endless things to fiddle with in order to maximize your efficiency and be good at, like, multiple different tasks. And I think the game does a fantastic job at correlating cause and effect over the long term of a playthrough. Due to the amount of depth being presented, I would say that this is a game with a learning curve. Expect your first couple captains to die terribly and do really, really poorly until you fully grasp both day-to-day operations of the ship and what skills are copacetic to that, and also get a handle on the skills system itself for your intended job choices in the galaxy. This is a game where I'd recommend probably checking out guides for perfect starts, like min-max starts and whatnot when you're new, because that'll kind of give you something to focus on when it comes to what skills to take, because there's so much here in, like, this buffet of content to play around with. You should also take the time to learn how the dice system works, otherwise the whole game is just going to kind of be sorcery to you, and you're never really going to understand why you're winning or losing. The RNG card game, I'm not the hugest fan of when it comes to, like, blockading, spying, exploring, salvaging. I feel like a solution with a little bit more player agency outside of, like, eliminate or reroll one card would make the experience a tad more satisfying. Like, even something like allowing the player to use as many cards as they like to guarantee results if they put the skill points in, I think would go a long ways towards minimizing the amount of busy time spent randomly shuffling cards in order to get the outcome that you want. On the UI front, the game is very busy. All of it is functional, but I think, like, really the trickiest area with the UI shortcomings is where you are in the ship outfitting menu. I think using flip-down menus to conserve screen economy and sort things in a little bit less of a visually jarring way would go a long ways towards assuaging that issue. Drag and drop equipping from that same menu, once you've actually selected a category from the flip-down menu, would also help with kind of gelling the amount of customization with the intended inputs for the PC platform in like a usable way. The reputation system is kind of hit or miss. It's something you've got to learn to fiddle with. I think some people are really going to hate the reputation system, and I think others are going to see it as a challenge. Although, as I said earlier in the video, I think there's room to reappraise some of the mission penalties you get based on the culture and context of the game. Like, sometimes you'll lose rep with a faction for actions that feel beneficial to both parties, and that can feel a little bit jarring and confusing. A quick polish patch could probably clean that up, but it's just something that I noticed. Ship and crew combat are both good, fine, serviceable, but a little bit more movement in the idle animations, especially in ship combat, I think would make it look a little bit better. Ships actually like swinging and dodging missiles rather than staying static in place and whatnot. However, for a game that's being developed by a very small team, they've managed to soak a whole lot of detail into Star Traders, and by and large, my impressions of the game after 15 hours are positive. There's been little annoyances, but it's mostly entertaining. Certain aspects can be kind of a slog, but, you know, that's life in a dystopian future where everybody is a douche and you're just trying to eke out a living inside the margins without getting assassinated. So, you know, it kind of makes sense that some points are going to be a slog. There are some combat abilities that I think are unbalanced and could probably use a balance pass, but like in the grander picture of the game, I think everything works well in cohesion. Pretty much everything in the game that's strong also has kind of a counter. If you've got that, it's just when you don't have that counter, it feels like relentlessly unfair. But yeah, that's Star Traders Frontiers. I've been enjoying this game tremendously in my free time, and I hope you will too. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day, so you don't have to. I'll be back tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet, but up until then, that's about all I got. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for hanging out.